The Weekly Warp Pipe.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Weekly Warp Pipe, a podcast dedicated to retro video games, 80s and 90s toys, and all things nostalgia. And this week, we're jumping in the Warp Pipe and going back and taking a look at the N64. We're doing the $100 game challenge. Given $100, what games would you purchase? And if you guys haven't already, be sure to check out the weeklywarppipe.com for other episodes, merch, and everything going on with the show. New episodes every Saturday at 7 a.m. Without further ado, let's get on to the episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Weekly Warp Pipe. I'm RussLyman.
What's up, guys? It's me, NES Addict.
Yes, we are back at it. Another episode. Someone had suggested it for us to do one of these challenge videos again. Now, I could have sworn we have done the $100 NES challenge, but I went to look back at our episodes and we never did it. We just did Super Nintendo.
Yeah, we'll have to get on that then.
So maybe we'll backtrack with that. But since a ton of people have been doing NES and we already did Super Nintendo, only made sense to go to the Nintendo 64 $100 game challenge.
It'll be interesting, Russ. My N64 game knowledge is minimal. I do not collect for the 64. I've had a few, and I've played a few games. It wasn't a system I played growing up. I do remember playing it at friends' houses a couple times.
Yeah.
And I remember playing it, obviously, in store.
At the kiosk and stuff.
At the kiosk. So it was something I wanted, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, my mom just wouldn't budge. So
she's like, no, all right, got you to Super Nintendo. That's enough.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah. I played it growing up. I probably got a lot of my games, honestly, from Blockbuster Video. Going there, either renting them or they would have the used game bins and you could get them for a few dollars. So I've gotten a few through there. But back a couple years, I was working at Retro Games Plus, and I actually ended up trading in my Nintendo 64 and all its games to get the PS4.
Oh, man.
So,
do you regret that or no?
I mean, I would say the N64 is probably my least favorite Nintendo console.
Right.
I played it, I enjoyed it, but I didn't find myself going back to it a ton.
I gotcha.
So getting the PS4, I was like, oh, it's something new. I mean, it wasn't brand new at the time. We had gotten a used one in the store, but I was like, let me jump on this because I didn't get the PS3 for a while. And I was like, I could always get these N64 games again. So down the road, someone was trading in a N64 and it was broken. And they were just like, you know what? You could just take it. And I was like, okay. So I ended up getting this cool jungle green N64, but it does have like this big crack in it at the top right there. And it's like chipped right there. So other than that, it works. And I only have 2 physical games for the system. I'm looking to possibly maybe just get one of the EverDrives to have all the games because it's hard to emulate the games on my SNES Classic. Doesn't quite keep up. But I was talking to Ganny, man. He told me they're actually doing stuff where you can get something to install into the system, and it's almost like you put like an SD card in there and put the games in and load it that way instead of getting the EverDrive. But we'll see. That's a topic for another episode. This topic we're discussing, you have $100 and you need to start your N64 collection, and you already have the console, but you want to get some games for it. And now we're using loose prices of the games. These are cart only, and everything's based off videogamepricecharting.com. We just went there. I made an Excel spreadsheet, put in the price, and it gave me a total, and we did it until we got closest to 100 without going over.
Now, kind of the idea for this, Russ, if I'm not mistaken, is that we're picking what we would start out our collection as. This isn't kind of the end goal.
Right.
This is just like a good mix of games to start our collection, less than $100. Because I feel like when we did our Super NES challenge, I think Megadan picked it up, and kind of took the torch, and then I've seen it kind of spread throughout the gaming community.
Okay.
But I feel like that little aspect was lost in some of those videos. That like this isn't the only games you're going to ever play forever. This is just kind of like, what would you
starter,
get? What would you get first? Like a starter pack, exactly.
Right.
Like here, kid. Here's $100. Go to the game store, get your first however many games, and then we'll worry about more later.
Right. I kind of think of it as back in the day when we were growing up as kids. Right. You didn't get video games a lot. Maybe it was your birthday. Maybe it was Christmas. So that's like twice a year. Maybe you got a good report card and you were lucky your parents bought you a game. So you had 3 games for the year to play over and over again, unless you were renting them for maybe the weekend. So this is like, you got $100. What games you want to play for quite some time that'll keep you occupied. And then, when your birthday comes around, maybe you buy a higher price game.
Yeah, that's kind of how I looked at it. Or as like you're starting out as a new collector, and like you had $100 to go spend. Like, what would be the first games you'd pick up to entertain you for a few months until you decided to go add some more?
Right.
Either one of those scenarios.
And again, it's our list. If the games don't meet your criteria, you're welcome to leave a comment and let us know. I have a few people we'll highlight that gave us some games that would make their list, but we'll start off with ours. The first game I put on my list was Yoshi's Story for $22.10. This plays, you would think, N64. Everything was like 3D. Yoshi's Story plays 2D platformer style, like Super Mario Brothers. You're going left to right. And it just has, better graphics because it's the N64. So that aspect appealed to me more. I'm definitely more of the side scrolling platformer. Less to get lost. You're just going left to right and enjoy the game. So super fun. Yoshi, can't go wrong with a fun Yoshi game. They got all the new ones now on the Switch with like Yoshi's Woolly World and all those ones. And you played a little bit as Yoshi in Super Mario Land 2, so it seemed like the progression fit.
Right.
Yeah. So
cool. I think I've heard of that game. I'd actually never seen footage of it, so I'll have to look that up and see what it looks like. But
yeah, check it out. Definitely a fun one.
So I went more of a what's the word I'm looking for? Predictable routine.
Gotcha.
I went straight for Mario 64.
As what most people will. I tried to switch mine up some though.
It's a high price game though. It's $34.95 loose,
right,
which is kind of a big part of the $100 budget. So I had to get creative later. Mario, it's the game that I remember playing at the kiosk, and I was like, wow, like Super Mario World was the last Mario game I played, and now he can kind of traverse this 3D world, which was kind of neat. And I remember hearing him go whoop, 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 when he's jumping around, and climbing trees. I don't know, it's cool. Like, I've never played it to completion because, like I said, I'd never had an N64. So I think if I was getting an N64 today, I would like to try to run through Mario 64.
Right, and also it has the very fun start screen where you can play with Mario's face.
You can pull his face and his nose, and
so you can fart around with that for a while. But I get what you're saying with even the main hub area where the castle is, because how it works, you jump into paintings and do the worlds that way, having enough stars. But you could just cruise around the courtyard and have fun doing that for sure.
That's what I did. That's what I did at probably like a Kmart or a Walmart back when I was a kid, running around, seeing it for the first time.
You probably didn't know how the levels work, so you're like, I don't know where level 1 starts, or you're like, maybe this is it. You just run around the grass.
Yep. Just like getting the different mechanics down. Like, doesn't he like slide on his stomach?
Yeah, you can hit the button and you can jump further, and then you can also slide across the grass.
So that was just kind of neat, just seeing what they were doing with him,
exactly.
in a 3D environment.
All right, I'm gonna move on to a game I did play quite a bit. Never completed it, and as what I know, it was almost like an experiment to see how people enjoyed this. But Star Wars Shadow of the Empire, $12.66.
That's a bargain buy right there.
Yeah, so that's pretty cheap. I could have got some of the other ones, but more expensive. But this is, it's basically like a action adventure game. You play as unknown Star Wars character. You're not Han Solo. You're some random guy. But the stormtroopers in there, and you explore the Star Wars universe. And I remember having a good time with it, exploring around. And I guess they put this out to see how people reacted to a Star Wars game, because they're like, would people want this? I guess on the N64, and it was positive received. So they went there. I think there's 3 other Star Wars games.
Is it like a pod racer on there? Or
Yeah,
is that...
there's a pod racer, Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
And there might be one more. I'm not 100%. But yeah, Star Wars.
Is it the Mandalorian on there?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. There could be a demake. Someone made it, ported it to the N64.
Dang, $12. That's not bad.
Yeah, pretty good deal, I thought.
For me, went with another Nintendo flagship. They started out this on the Super Nintendo and carried it on to the 64. I got Star Fox 64.
I figured you might say that. Yep.
$20.98.
Another pricey one.
Another pricey one. I know I'm eating away that budget quick. We're already over $50 on this. But Star Fox was a really kind of revolutionary game with the FX chip, and from what I understand, the 64 version is kind of more refined, and all the same characters are coming back, and it just looks like a fun adventure. So,
right.
Like I said, I am a N64 kind of newbie, so I figured I'd like to play the Star Fox game. So
perfect. On our Facebook page, we had posted, and Joe Dunbar, Nintendo, said he would buy several copies of Star Fox 64.
Yeah.
I told him, technically, you could only get 4 because it would be over the budget.
That's right. Sorry, Joe. Because he must love that game then.
I guess so. Yeah, certainly a fun one. That's for sure. And again, I think it played to its advantage with the N64 had a lot of those almost like polygon graphics in their game. So it only enhanced what Star Fox looks like.
I was watching reviews on all these games that I picked today because, like I said, my knowledge of them is slim, and it looked pretty dang good, honestly.
Yeah, I certainly have to go back to it. I mean, I played it and beat it. And if you bought the game in the box, it did come with a rumble pack that you can insert into your controller.
That's awesome.
So it made it more immersive.
There you go. The old rumble pack.
The old rumble pack. I switched it up. I played this a ton in the arcade. That's Cruisin' USA.
Yeah, that was an arcade game that I played a lot too.
$14.26. Figured can't go wrong with a racing game. You can play these to death. Cruisin' USA has that arcade experience where it doesn't take itself too seriously. You're cruising around different tracks in the US. And I always remember you can like double pump the gas and the car does like a wheelie, and you can like hop over cars.
That's awesome.
So yeah, definitely a fun time. They had a few more on the system itself than it came out in the arcade, but the original Cruisin' USA, definitely fun. And I remember it in the arcade, it'd run through its like trailer or whatever if you don't put a quarter in.
Right.
And I remember this and Killer Instinct had Ultra 64, like as the engine running.
Oh, yeah.
It was officially N64.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, because it was Ultra 64. That would have been a cool name.
Yeah. Super. Then you go to Ultra.
Yeah. Like, why didn't they do? They should have stuck with that. That sounds rad, actually. I like that. Oh, well.
All
right. Are you ready, Russ?
Yep.
I got another fairly expensive. I'm slowly creeping the price down.
You're gonna tap out a short list.
I'm picking Perfect Dark.
Oh, okay. Yep.
It was $18.99. Not the year. The price.
I need to start a story. It was $18.99. I remember.
But it's kind of like runs off the same engine as like the James Bond game that was so popular.
GoldenEye, yes. Now I've heard tons of stuff about. I never played Perfect Dark, but I heard a lot of people say it was better than GoldenEye.
That's what I heard. That's what I hear also. I always had a hard time with GoldenEye because, well, number one, I didn't have a 64 to practice with, but I always felt like you held the gun like this.
Oh, like, right.
It was like, it wasn't like this.
How's this look in third person? Because you're playing in first person.
It was, and it always bothered me. And I think that some of the same is on Perfect Dark from what I saw. But apparently it was like a pretty good story as well. And it's kind of like I don't know a whole lot about it, but I watched a review this morning. And it's like a kind of like a space adventure almost. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments. It's not what it's about at all, Jay. It's about Russia. I don't know. Anyway, but it looked good. And I like the fact that it was a little bit more refined than the GoldenEye. But yeah, I remember when my buddy Johnny worked at the skate park with me.
Okay.
This was a game that he recommended I get. And I think actually he gave me his copy to play because I had a 64 early on in my collecting when I just collected everything before I narrowed it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't have it, maybe it's one you should get. So
yeah, I would say. And how much was it again? You said
like I think $18.99.
Yeah. See, so I do have. I made like a list, 2 expensive games. Basically, didn't make my list, and GoldenEye was on there, $33.93 for GoldenEye. It's gone up quite a bit. That's what I come to find with a lot of these games. Last time I checked the prices on these, I was probably working at Retro Games Plus, so it's been a minute. And a lot of these N64, I almost was like, should we make it a $200 game challenge to be able to fit more games on there because they're so expensive? But kept it at 100. And
see how creative we can be,
basically.
But like because GoldenEye is more expensive and apparently this game's better. I mean, maybe you're getting more bang for your buck anyway.
Right. So there you go. Nice. I added. So I wanted a shooter on the list as well. And GoldenEye was too pricey for my taste, and I actually went with the sequel of a game, Turok 2 Seeds of Evil. It was only $10.19.
Yeah.
So that's cheap. So I've only played Turok, but Turok was more expensive. So I can only imagine Turok 2, they improved upon the original, and it probably plays just as good, if not better.
One would hope.
Right. So, I mean, you're playing as this hunter guy that's fighting dinosaurs. Doesn't get cooler than that, right? You get to shoot some velociraptors. You get like bow and arrow weapons and stuff like that. It plays in first person, so it's similar to like a Doom-esque type game, or GoldenEye, I guess. I mean, those are all first person shooters. But yeah, and I'm trying to remember if Turok 2, I think, was a black cartridge. I know the first one was gray. I can't remember if Turok 2 or 3 was the black cartridge, because some N64 games actually come in black. I actually have one right here, which did not make my list this game, but we got WWF No Mercy, and it's in a black cartridge. Too expensive. They've said this is the best wrestling game on the N64, but it costs too much.
Well, that's a perfect segue into my next game. This is a game that I remember playing with my friend Mark and Brad growing up. They were huge wrestling fans.
Yeah.
I could care less about it. I did get into it in high school a little bit.
Yeah.
A group of my friends would watch it on Sunday, and my one buddy would buy it on like pay-per-view, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
And I kind of became a short-lived Diamond Dallas Page fan.
Okay.
But this game is WCW NWO Revenge.
Oh, okay.
$9.99.
There we go.
So right under $10. I just remember playing it with my friends, and the wrestling was like I said, it wasn't something I was interested in, but it was fun to do the maneuvers on people, like, body slams and whatever the other wrestling moves are called. power slams. I don't know.
The leg drop, elbow,
the diamond cutter. Yeah. Anyway, throwing them out of the rink. I don't know. It controlled really well. And I just remember it being a lot of fun, especially co-op. So
yeah, that was something like that. It's definitely fun with 2 players, so you get some good play out of that replay value.
Yeah, and from what I understand, like, it holds up pretty well to this day. Even though the guys look a bit blocky,
Right.
And there was this one wrestler. He's really big. I cannot remember his name. He was he had like brown hair, real big guy. He was always like the biggest guy on the screen. If you guys know that guy's name, let me know in the comments below.
He was a WCW wrestler.
Yeah, I want to say his name was like Diesel, but I could totally be making that up. I don't remember.
That could fit. Sounds like a good wrestling name.
Yeah, Diesel. So I have no idea. But one of the things I always liked about that game too was Sting was in it. But at that point, Sting had more of like the Crow kind of look.
Oh yes, yeah,
Where
with the black
earlier
and white
on,
makeup.
he had like blonde, spiky hair and like cool face makeup.
Right, he almost looks very similar to like, I guess, Ultimate Warrior with his face paint.
Yeah,
Right?
like Ultimate Warrior, but with
Shorter hair.
Yeah, with like a what's the boxer in the Rocky 3 or 4? No, yeah, it was
Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren. Look, kind of like a Dolph Lundgren type.
Fair enough. I got no segue into my next game, but
you didn't get Dolph Lundgren's greatest hits.
So I wanted to add. Obviously, the sports games are the cheapest, right, on the system.
Mm-hmm.
Most people aren't going to go for that. So I added NFL Blitz at $13.74. So this is a series similar to what NBA Jam was, where NBA Jam is very arcade, over the top. NFL Blitz, again, added elements to that. So you have like, you got it on there. That was your last one. Nice. I like also that you wrote it on a piece of paper.
It's totally written on a bank statement.
So yeah, I hopped on and played this in the arcade here and there. I've never watched sports on TV, but the arcade aspect, drew you in, where you're like, oh, okay, it's fun. I can like sack them like more aggressively or whatever, almost to like how Mutant League football would be, right? I guess I would say. But NBA Jam basically is the go-to. Okay, you want football like that, NFL Blitz.
Exactly. It's kind of like that arcade style run and gun. There are no rules. I think there's even 7 like football players on each team at a time instead of 11.
Oh, okay.
So there's a bit more room on the field to run around, and the passes are like just real quick. What made me think of this game is I know that Gaming Off the Grid plays a lot of like NHL hits.
Yes. Okay.
And NFL Blitz is kind of like the NFL version of the hits game, where everything's just fast paced, arcadey.
Yeah.
You don't even really have to be a football fan to have fun on that game.
Right. Like much like I said, I didn't really watch sports growing up, but playing those games, I'm like, okay, I could get into it. It's fun. It's fast paced. You're not like, I got to pick my play and do this and plan this.
Yep. Yeah. Just kind of quick, off top of your head. How can you make this work? So, fun game, but that's nice. So funny. When you said sports, I was like, he's going to pick NFL Blitz too. But yeah, that rounds out my 5 games for a total of $98.65.
Wow, so, see, there you go.
I know Russ squeezed a little more out of his budget, so let's hear what you got, Russ.
Yeah, I do have 3 more games on there. I'll highlight quickly. We got some comments that people left on YouTube and Facebook. M and J on our YouTube page said, Mischief Makers, that's going for $32.46. I said I never played this one, but I can distinctly remember the box art of it, like on the label. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys know that one. And Tanny Garcia said Jet Force Gemini.
That was one of the ones I was going to bring up too. That was another one that my buddy Johnny back in the day recommended.
Okay. I never played that one. I can picture the cover. It's got like, I think some guy with like a helmet on.
That's
like
right.
Blue and silver or something like that.
You got it.
So I don't know how it plays. Is it like a shooter? I wonder. Like a GoldenEye, but you're in space. Jet Force Gemini sounds spacey.
But I don't know if it's... I think you can see your character, though.
Okay. It's a third-person aspect, possibly.
I think. I could be wrong, but I think that's right.
Zach said on Facebook he would get Ocarina and Majora's Mask. I said that would bring your total to $91.45. So it fits the challenge, but you wouldn't have any other games.
But those games are fairly long, right?
Right.
So they might eat up a few months before you can go back out and grab some more.
I just wonder, like, would you get tired being in the Zelda universe for that much time?
Both games.
Right. You figured you would go Zelda Mario or something to switch it up.
Yeah.
Whereas you're like, I'm bored of Ocarina, I'm going to go to Majora. It's like, well, it's the same thing. You're just...
Right. Yeah. different
at a different place.
There you
What else do we have? Facebook said Peter Bateman left an entire list for us. I'll run
All
through it
right,
quickly.
Peter, way to pull through.
So thanks so much for putting that in there. Wave Race 64 for $13.
Good one.
GoldenEye 33.93. Diddy Kong Racing 23.59. That's a
I looked at that one too.
That was going to make my list, but again, too high. Major League Baseball featuring Ken Griffey Jr. $10.12. So good baseball game, right? Could have baseball in there. Glover. It's only $13.60.
I thought about Glover. I'm pretty sure Pac-Man Case has mentioned that game before.
I have the vinyl soundtrack. Shout out to Respawned Records. They sent me out a copy to review, and it's got some good music on there.
There you
go. NFL Quarterback Club 2000, $4.55.
Bargains.
For a total price of $98.79.
I hear you.
So Peter hit the challenge there.
Good job, Peter.
Ones. All right, to round up my list, I got Tony Hawk Pro Skater on there, $9.49.
Nice.
Gotta have some fun Tony Hawk on there. Great soundtrack. Skateboarding. I tried to skateboard a little bit growing up. Wasn't great at it. Much better at the video game. You won't get hurt falling doing an ollie.
That's right. Yeah, dude. Pro Skater games were so fun. You could just get lost in those games for hours and hours trying to get like score combinations, and they had like the horse game of skate on there. That was always fun to play.
Finding the VHS tapes.
VHS tapes. That was a really well done game.
Absolutely, it definitely helped. I would say reignite Tony Hawk's career in getting him back in.
I know for a fact it did. I recently watched a video on Tony Hawk, and in the mid 90s, skate culture was taking a turn to do more like street skating.
Okay.
Tony Hawk was a vert skater, and he was trying to make that transition, and he just wasn't. I mean, he was still better than like most people, but it was like compared to the other street skaters, he wasn't that good. And I think he was even like losing some money. And in that time, he was working on that game with Activision, and it kind of came out and it totally did revamp him.
Yeah, and I seen something of that, and he was like, "Oh, when I got the check for whatever, it was just like, what?
Yeah,
we did this well. All right, let's make more."
Exactly.
So I added this one on here again. I said I got to go with the prices. Instead of this one, I added WWF Warzone was only $4.68. I can't say to how it plays, but it's a wrestling game, so I think that would keep me entertained for some bit, and I would have some knowledge of some of the wrestlers back then. I watched more 80s wrestling. I wasn't really the Attitude Era, which has like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and all that. So, but I know them, so I'm sure they're in that game, and I'll be like, oh, okay, I can play as those guys. And then to wrap up my games here, I chose 1080 Snowboarding, $11.32. I definitely played this one a ton. I myself do enjoy snowboarding, but I can't do it that great. And I always loved the Cool Border series on PlayStation. Excuse me, need some water here.
There you go.
But yeah, snowboarding. You get to go down the mountain and perform all these fun tricks, and have different characters you could choose from and different mountains. And for that price, I was like, okay, let me throw it on the list. That brought my total to $98.44. So I doubt I'd be able to find a dollar something game on the list. I think we did look. You can filter on video game price charting and do the prices, and I don't think there was like a dollar something game on there. So that was all I could fit.
And you said your total was what?
$98.44.
98. Okay, you came under me and had more games than me. I was 98.65.
See, there we go. But again, it's to each your own which games to have on your list, and are going to keep you more entertained.
Yeah.
And again, I did make a list of games that I wanted to be on my list, but they were too expensive. So you had Mario 64. I did not add, which most people probably would, Mario Kart 64.
I looked at that one too.
This was $42.68 loose, not box. I just happen to have a box copy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gabbo. I got this from Gabbo. Yeah, pricey again. And then I had looked at Diddy Kong Racing, but again, too much money. We mentioned GoldenEye. Zelda Ocarina of Time was $36.46.
Yeah.
And then one that I didn't think was going to be expensive that I played a ton of was Rampage World Tour. You play as the big oversized monsters.
Yeah.
And you smash buildings up, and there's like hundreds of levels. Definitely would keep you entertained forever. And yeah, I couldn't believe it was like almost $30. I was like, okay, I guess I can't make my list.
One of the ones I looked at that was a bit more expensive was Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie.
Yes.
I was hoping one of those would be a little less, but nope.
Yeah, again, you're picking those well-known titles, and
right.
The prices of these games have gone up so much. You're like, okay, I'm either going to have to pick one that I really, really like, choose Mario, choose Zelda, or whatever, and then the rest are going to have to be almost, cheaper filler games.
Right. Budget games for sure.
Yeah. So some even game, like I looked up, I was like, oh, maybe this one. There was like a Razor scooter game.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, okay, it's probably cheap. No, it was like $60.
What?
I was like, okay. I was like, I never played this. Might be cool, but it's one of the most rarest games on the N64. Okay, yeah, Conker's Bad Fur Day is expensive and all that, but there's a bowling game that is super expensive.
Bowling, wow.
I remember my friend George was going for a complete N64 set, which he had gotten. And that was one of the last games that he had to get to complete the collection. Let's see if I could find it on here quickly. Oh, because it also lists all the accessories as well on video game price charting.
Right.
The highest game listed on there is Zelda's Majora's Mask, not for resale. So there's a lot of those that come up on the list. Let's see, what the heck was the bowling game?
While you're looking for that, I'll just mention one that I also looked at. Being a big Castlevania fan, I looked at the Castlevania games.
Oh, yeah, huh?
And they were like in the 30s, I thought I was doing pretty good to get Mario, Star Fox, and Perfect Dark, kind of like three big names, and then throw in two fillers with the WCW and NFL Blitz. But
right. Okay, so the game's called Super Bowling. Goes for $626 loose.
Good night. Hopefully I found that at a yard sale somewhere.
And that's one that would go way under the radar if you're at a yard sale or a Goodwill. Like, it come in a Goodwill, that would be like bowling game, whatever. Like
bowling game, put $2 on it. Nobody cares.
$2. And you're like, what? $626?
Yeah. So I Googled that wrestler I was trying to remember just because
okay.
It kill me. Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't look the same in this picture. He used to have like really long hair, brown hair, but he was just a huge hulk of a man.
That's right. Yeah, definitely a fun wrestler there. I would say, is he as tall? I know DDP is definitely tall. I wonder if they're about the same height.
I don't know. Yeah, couldn't tell you.
I only met a few wrestlers in person. If you guys saw pictures, I was at Retro World Expo this past year. That's in Connecticut, convention that they have. And I got pictures because my Mario Kart car was parked inside the convention center. And I was hanging out at my buddy Tom Ryan's booth. He was doing a live stream at the booth. So he's like, can you watch my booth? I'm like, sure. So I'm sitting there, I'm chatting with David Apuzzo, and I think Candyman was there as well. And we're just talking. And I see out of the corner of my eye walking in, and I was like, yo, is that Xavier Woods from New Day Wrestling? And it was him and Kofi Kingston, who was formerly the WWE champion, just happened to be in the area. I guess they had a show in Massachusetts, and they swung into Retro World to see what was going on. And they ended up coming back that Sunday, and we got pictures in front of my car, and I showed them my car, and they took pictures with it, and it was pretty awesome.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know who either of those people are, but that's still cool.
Well, they run a gaming channel as well called Up Up Down Down.
Oh, nice, great name.
And they have a lot of the wrestlers come on and they'll play, you know, like challenge games and stuff. They do like Street Fighter and retro games, and yeah, they definitely have a good time. So I've gotten a few shirts that say Up Up Down Down because, again, awesome name.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Trying to think, anything else to say about the N64, Jay?
The color-tastic N64s were kind of neat, and like you have that jungle green one, but there were like a bunch of other colors too.
Yeah, and they had fun names too. This is Jungle Green. They had, I believe, Atomic Purple, Watermelon Red, Smoke Gray. What was the blue one? There was
Was
a
it
blue
ice
one.
blue?
I think it was Ice Blue. These all sound like Kool-Aid drinks.
I know it does, doesn't it? Make me thirsty.
And I did pick up, I have yet to use it, but I picked up a new third-party controller called is it Retro Brawler? I want to say it's a new design to the controller, so it looks and feels more like, I guess I would say like a pro controller or like an Xbox controller, like a newer gen controller. If you didn't enjoy playing with the what is it? Trident
Yeah, the
style
Trident.
N64 controller. So this can bring new life, and they have wireless ones too. So they got a little dongle that'll plug in, and then you could sit on your couch far away and play the game. But yeah, I've yet to try it. It has you know, more of a D-pad that you're using instead of the analog stick that's
Gotcha.
in the middle. Like, how do you hold this? Oh, funny story. Were you telling me when Retro Rick came to visit and you guys played N64 and he didn't know how to hold the controller?
No, I don't.
Was it you? I'm trying to think if you told me, or
It was
if
it
it
was
was
either
Retro.
me or Pac-Man Case. If it was me, I don't remember. I
Okay.
think, and he may have been joking. You know, I'm pretty sure Rick. I'm pretty sure Rick grew up with a 64 because he was playing. He was playing some racing game with Andy, and he was just
Being
whooping him.
terrible. Oh, he's whooping him. Oh, so
Yeah,
he's
and
doing good.
and
Yeah.
I feel like Andy's probably a pretty good N64 player, as he has almost the whole collection, if not the whole collection.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but Rick was beating him pretty good.
So he's pool sharking him.
I remember I played like one round, and then I was like, I'm out. I'm done. It was some. It wasn't. It might have been Diddy Kong Racing. It was a racing game, but he was doing pretty well.
Nice.
I looked up those other N64s. There was Fire Orange.
Okay.
It was indeed Ice Blue,
Yeah.
and then there was a Grape Purple and a Midnight Blue color.
Nice. And there was a Pikachu N64 that's also sought after. It's half blue, half yellow, I believe. And you have Pikachu that's on top of the console, and his little foot is the reset button, I believe.
Yeah,
and when
that's cool.
you turn it on, his cheeks glow red.
I wouldn't mind having that, even though I am like not a huge N64 person, but that just seems cool. Ever since my kid got into Pokemon, I've kind of got into it a little bit.
Right, and that's literally the only console I've seen that is like fully custom with like a 3D thing. Usually you get like, it's like a skin, you know?
Right.
Like that's just like a graphic that's on it. But they made like this 3D Pikachu that comes out of the system. You're like, what? This looks dope.
Yeah, you know, that was definitely different. I don't know if that'll ever happen again. That might have been only in the 90s thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, they did just come out with a Switch OLED that was Pokemon for the new Pokemon game. But again, it's just a graphic print on it, which you could just get done yourself. I've gotten stickers and for my consoles on a site called Decal Girl, and you could just choose your console and they'll print a sticker that fits on it.
And you do custom NESs. You probably have done more of like a 3D molds than, you know, any company would ever do.
Yeah, a lot of people I've seen that do the custom NESs are just with the design and then they gloss over it. But I do enjoy making them with like 3D clay to kind of give it some 3D elements,
some texture.
Yeah, I did a Super Mario Brothers one that has Mario 3. It's all yellow with Mario 3 like on the cover. But then I used clay and I made his ears and his tail like 3D, so it stood out a little bit. I thought it'd be like, all right. this is unique. So that one came out fun. I will be working on a custom PlayStation in the coming weeks that I have to do. It's going to be, I think, Mega Man Legends. We're going with the theme for it.
That'd be cool.
So we'll see. If you guys aren't subscribed to my RussLyman channel already, then check that out. That's where I'll be doing like DIY videos and all that jazz on there. And if you're not subscribed to the weekly Warp Pipe, be sure to do so. We have episodes every Saturday at 7 a.m. And we also are newly joined up with the Dorkening podcast network.
The
Dorkening. I'll be switching over. I have to get all like stuff signed and see what we have to do, where we're going to be mentioning other podcasts. But you can check out Retro with Octopus is on there, which is Nintendo's podcast.
Say that 5 times fast.
I know. I can barely
say it one time slow.
Then my buddy Steven runs the retro throwback reviews as well. And I'll have to get familiar with other people. There's tons of podcasts on there, but you can definitely check them out. And yeah, we're excited to be on there.
Absolutely.
Follow me on social medias. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And where can we find you, Jay?
You can find me only on TikTok at NES Addict, and every Saturday with my buddy Russ on the weekly Warp Pipe.
Yeah. Hey, how close are you to 50K followers on TikTok?
I hit like 40K, and then I really slowed down. But I also haven't been. I was putting out 3 videos a day, which now I'm putting out 1, maybe 2, and my live streams this summer helped a lot because I was streaming like every night, and now I'm working, so that's became less as well. But to answer your question, about 8K roughly.
There you go. So guys,
I'll get there one day.
Head over to the TikToks and follow Jay, NES Addict.
That's right.
Just because I'm an NES addict
doesn't mean you can't be an NES addict too.
We'll see you guys next week.
Take care, guys. Have a fun week.